Hey YouTube! I feel terrible. I've just like, I don't know. I talked to my dad the other day and he'd had his, I feel awful with a horrible cold, something about he was unblocking a burn in his garden. And it's like, I don't know whether it's that I've got or I've got these pills from the doctor. I just kind of feel, ugh. So I don't think there's going to be a live stream. I don't feel up to it. It's kind of, I feel like a wee bit like when I had COVID, you know, the second week, the annoying week, where you'd be sitting there going like that, Pierre, I actually feel alright. I'm going to go and do something, and then you get up, you go out, you get to the car, and you're just, and you go back to bed again. That kind of thing. Keep doing that, it's really annoying. So, Alex has requested, how come do a comparison with this bass and the wee blue bass, which is mine. Actually, he picked it up for me, thanks very much. Great. And then I'm going to rewire that to restring that Telecaster. So this bass, I don't think I really talked about it, I haven't for a while. It's awful good, and I kind of forgot that it was. I have been using it in the Black Sabbath band all the time, so basically it just sits in its case, and I bring it out, and every time we're playing, I go, that's just really good. But because it's it's a different environment, you're in the studio, you're obviously playing much louder with the drums, and it's the same model of amp every week. But things change, whereas now I'm actually just playing in my controlled environment. I totally know what that amp sounds like when it's sitting there. It's awful good. So this is a Fernandez PJ bass. It's actually, I get fed up looking it up. So I printed out a Electroset thing with a seat with a model number in the back. It's a pj50. And I think I'm right in thinking that certainly for a lot of the times, see the numbers you get on Japanese guitars, it's the price point. So a pj50 is 50,000 yen, is that what it is? Or 50 million or whatever it is. 50,000 yen, I don't know how much that compares at the time, but it kind of works in with quite a lot of them. I've actually got a Tokai Mats guitar. Mats as in most advanced technology system, something like that. The fiberglass one. And it's got, I think it's a 50 on a sticker on the back of the neck. And I think that kind of fits in with quite a lot of the Ibanez. In fact, even Ibanez, Ronnie's got I had one of the Ibanez. He just told me 2 seconds ago what it was. The ST50, ST70, SB70. I think it was an SB70 he's got. So that would be 70,000 yen. So that'd be more expensive than this bass. I think it's something about that. But this is a 32-inch scale. So it's not the 30-inch scale, and it's not a 34-inch scale. It's in the middle. Japanese tend to like to do that. It's got the spiky headstock on it. The serial number's a Matsumoto serial number. It could be a Matsumoto guitar. It kind of feels like it is. But the big thing is, it's got a really weird neck on it. The neck on it is like a super strap. It's obviously 32-inch scale, but the dimensions of it are much more guitar-y. It's even got a special bridge, which I think they had to maybe make because it's the string spacing's that much tighter. So what is the string spacing on this? It's 50mm spacing between the two strings. The the outside strings, so that's pretty tight, I think. I don't think I've actually got a bass kicking about. It's easy to find. Oh, I've got the wee blue bass. I'm pretty sure it's just a standard. They're not going to have built a special bridge for it. So that's like 56mm. 50. I'm not measuring it particularly correctly. 58. It's a good bit wider. Here, this is very thin, but it makes it very fast. So I basically bought this because I wanted I thought Fernandez are normally very expensive. There is a way to get cheaper Fernandez, and the way to get cheaper Fernandez, get ones with pointy headstocks or ones that aren't a normal shape. Like if you've got a Fernandez Strat with the Strat headstock, that's the one Brad Gillis and Night Ranger uses. They're thousands of pounds, even though it's the same as the one you got the year before, apart from it had a pointy headstock, and you can pick one up a couple hundred. But it's just the quality level is just right up there. It feels like a bit like my in fact, yeah, I would go as far as to say I think the Vox bass is actually this as well. I thought it was a Tushin. It might be Matsumoku, or this might be a Chushin. Not really sure. This has definitely got traits with my Vox White Shadow bass. Something about it, just the look and the feel, not the design, but the look and the feel has got something about that in it. Yeah, so and it's a PJ, but I never used a J. That's with the tone up full. The tone completely off. And then, so I'll compare it to the wee blue bass. This, I don't even know how much. I mean, I've never seen another one of these. Obviously, now that it's painted, it was the most horrible shade of beige. Like, I think at some point it was white, but it had a chemical reaction. Maybe been stored in a gig bag or something. It had a chemical reaction. It had gone this horrible beigey, just not a cool colour at all. So I was actually thinking of selling it, and then I was going to thinking of painting it, and then when Jen started doing the JPack things, I was like, oh, I could do that wee Fernandez bass, because it's pure amazing apart from the colour. So here we go. The tone was fully off on the last one, so... Then the tone up full. The light in here is really weird just now. That bass was looking funny, but this one's looking like a sort of pastel blue. It's not. It's a total rich blue. I think my t-shirt is thrown off the colour balance somewhere. But actually, just thinking about it there, the Roto Sound strings that I put on the Fernandez bass cost more than this bass did. Yep. Well, I mean, you're not really comparing like with like. Nobody's going to, if you offer somebody either one of these and they don't know anything about guitars, they're going to pick that one because it feels more expensive and looks better. Sound-wise, it's just a higher end instrument, so the notes are more defined. These they're a little bit fuzzy and they kind of melt into each other a little bit more. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I mean, kind of going in the direction of an EBO from that. But I mean, it's not a problem at all. I would have no issue with this. I don't know. I mean, I think this sounds absolutely amazing. It'd be brilliant for in the room just now. I think you would probably hear more of a difference in the studio playing through the 200 watt Ampeg up at drum level. It probably wouldn't sound as... There'd probably be quite a big difference in that. But if you're sitting playing through, well, it's not really a wee amp, playing in the house, not a huge sound difference. Maybe once you start getting the high volumes, the pickups will be maybe a bit microphonic or maybe not quite as piercing as they could be. That's a good point of just like between this bass and that one. Okay, to be honest, actually the neck on that's it's an oddity, which makes it pure amazing. Or I can't really think of anyone who wouldn't like it. But it's just one of those things that every single component in this, everything, the minutiae, every single detail on this is significantly better than what's in this. It's not a case of, there's not really a weak point, and the Japanese were really good at that. Especially, by the time you get to, sometimes they had weak pots and weak tuners, maybe, if you got the cheaper ones. But by the time you get to West tones and stuff like that, no, it's like everything on it's just go to pro level. And this is the same. It's like, this is all good enough. This is not like a Harley Benton or like a Fasley or something where they've just bought the cheapest bits and put them on. This has got the cheapest bits that work put on them. This is not the cheapest bridge you can buy. It's the cheapest decent bridge, and they're sitting there working it out. I mean, that's why this bass isn't as cheap as I thought it was. I was expecting it to be under 100 quid. It's not. It's just slightly over, but that's because they've not scrimped on the things that make it a decent bass. The whole concept principles of having, you know, one that if you buy one and it's good, it's a good instrument. I suppose they're kind of selling it to. Do the Gear for Music get sold to schools like across Europe or something? Because that's where it comes in. It's like if you're teaching kids, you know, like one day a week playing guitars and stuff like that, having a bass like this is totally fine for that. If you're looking at the cheaper, like a lot of cheaper ones, if you go any cheaper than this, basically, you get ones that don't stay in tune, that the necks don't go, and the tuners don't work. All these things, it's got to have a certain, it's got to be at a level to be a functional instrument, and this totally is all the way around, and it's not an accident when these things happen. Especially bad for this sort of thing if you look in the early 90s at some guitars where it's like they've been designed to look good, so they've got fancy looking stuff. They might have a really nice neck and really hot pickups, and the rest of it's just shit. It's like, this is and that's the problem I had actually with the wee Rid bass. I started upgrading it and ended up replacing all the bits. It's like, it kind of wasn't worth it. It's just because I had the pickup sitting there, and I did the pickup, and then I got Jen to paint it, and then I thought, well, it looked pretty good with black hardware, and then I put, and you're just like, none of those things, it's not really worth doing up. I mean, I could do it with this as well. I mean, I've got a high mass bridge, and I've probably got more expensive pickups. I was actually thinking of setting another set in there and there, so 4, and that'd be pretty cool. I started doing this video because I decided I was going to strip this down and make it a bucky bass. But the thing is, it's just one of those things that it's a cheap thing, and if you start modifying it, it becomes not a cheap thing anymore. Not even, you know, even if it's just stuff that was cheap lying about. It's like, oh, you've done a lot of work to it. It's like, I've not really done into this. I've adjusted, all I've done since I got it was adjust the height of the strings. Saddle, that was about it, really. And there is a joy in having it cheap. I just wish I'd got it for a tenner like I did the wee Rid bass. The wee Rid bass was more worthy of an upgrade though, because it feels like a more expensive bass, whereas this, it's amazing, but it feels like a cheapy toy thing. It's where you pay more money to get one that doesn't feel so much like a toy. But I mean, function wise, it sounds amazing and it plays really well. And it's and this is the second one of these I've had. Jen bought one a couple of months ago. She was buying another guitar, what do you think? So I was like, I just bought the bass as well. And it was like 30 quid or something like that. And I was like, you're alright, aye. And then as soon as I picked up, I was like, let's see that bass. Huh! This is, yeah, totally. Wow, you totally did well. This is just brilliant. I think it was even the same colour as this. Been painted up. I've been using it in some of the JPAC stuff. It's yellow now with, I think it's called the Chili Peppers one or something like that. But it totally feels exactly, it's basically exactly the same as this one. But it's got better tuners than a Squier Bronco does. There you go. I mean, comparing it to looking at the Squier Bronco, which I always liked, but you don't get them cheap, which was really annoying, because I remember them only being 120 new, and I was like, how come they're always 90 quid second hand? That's really annoying. I have had a couple. I did manage to find one for 30 and one for 40 at one point, so that's when I had the Squier Bronco bass. Is it the Bronco bass I'm thinking of? It is, yeah, the Mustang Music Master shape one with the single coil strap pickup and the bridge like that with the two saddles on it. That's been really handy sitting there. I've used to demonstrate that, and I had the cheapy tuners. So basically, that bass, which I really liked, coming in at, I don't know, compared to this, it's kind of like if you had the Bronco bass and you upgraded it, because obviously the Bronco bass problems, the 2-saddle bridge is not as easy, is not as intonable as a 4-saddle bridge, so that's would be a bona fide upgrade to your Bronco bass. The tuners on it are the shitey ones. That's got the decenty ones, so there's another bona fide upgrade. And it's got a single coil strap pickup in it. This has got a P bass pickup, so basically the difference is this one is not Mustang Music Master Bronco shaped. It's a shame because I really like those basses, but I really like the look of them, and everything. It's just the price. It's like the same as it's a bit like your Squier Telecasters. Squier Strats cost 150 new. You can find them for second hand for 50-60 quid. So they cost the same as the Broncos, and cost the same as the Tellies, but you don't see Tellies for 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 quid. just because people keep them. I don't know. I think it just comes down to basically, I don't know if this is the same all over the world, but basically we are just Strats. All the guitars you see are Strats, all the second-hand ones, all cheap guitars are Strat copies. Which is just seemed to me, it's a really stupid thing because Telecasters are better. They're easier to make, they're cheaper, there's less bits, so they're better. And we don't have a tremolo, which means that you're more like, you don't need to build a tremolo, so it obviously costs about a tenth as much to build the Telecaster bridge as it does to build the Strat thing with the springs and the extra routing and all that. And those cheap tremolos don't really work, or even if you do get them set up properly, they don't really work. So you're better just having a hardtail in the telly. Yeah, it's also telly's get less of these contours and stuff on it. But I love the concept. I did a video before. Actually, a lot of people have been commenting. I don't know. I must have been come up in a search about the Squier Mini P bass. I've had a few comments on that last week. I wonder if it gets shared on a page somewhere. And I was just saying that the whole concept of the Mini P bass I like. So I was basically comparing the wee red bass and no, I had a green. In fact, I think it was this exact model. My pal Ian, I'm sure it was his nephew, had a wee green bass, which I remember doing. I think it might have been this Gear for Music one, but I think it was like a sort of neon green. I need to look up my videos and see about that. And it was great. It's like this one. This one, I probably prefer this to the Squier one, but I would probably take the Squier one because you'd be able to sell it for more. I think this is the Squier one. I'd actually, when I saw someone asked me what guitar was on the wall or something like that in the video, so I had to watch the first bit. And apparently it's only 28.5 inch scale, so I would rather have a 30 inch scale. I would rather have just of that wee little bit more. I'm saying that you could turn the other one into a baritone a bit better probably. But I'd rather have a 30 inch scale. So I mean, I don't know. It's one of those ones. Would this be better if they just made it Mustang shaped, because then it wouldn't be like a mini P bass, it would just be a Mustang. But I don't know, it seems very practical. It hangs pretty well. It's a wee bit, it weighs nothing. It's like 2.5 kilograms or something like that, so it weighs like, half a Les Paul. And it's got a nice, quite a thick neck, which I think is, you're saying you're wanting a thin neck. On a purely practical level, you don't tend to get thick necks. They're not as likely to warp and distort, so you can probably get away with cheaper wood by making it a bit chunkier. I would rather have a bit of a chunkier neck. I mean, it's a wee bass, it's a bass. It's not an overly chunky neck, but it is, considering it's meant to be a small one. But I like it. This is going to be a bass lesson video, but it's not turned out to be at all. It's just basically just bass. Love it. So is it better than an Epiphone EBO? Yes. Heard a new Baby Metal song yet? Oh, I can't remember. Can't remember the tune already, but I did listen to it 10 times yesterday. It's called Rat-a-tat-a-tat-a. 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 I feel pure. I feel pure like shite. I even bought a bottle of Bucky, but I mean, it just basically feel hungover, and I've not had a bottle of Bucky, and that's been coming up for 3 weeks. Is it Bucky withdrawals that I'm suffering from? The bass is just so much fun. What's going on? And there's so much. There's so much you can do just by the confidence and going up here. Yeah, there's that note. And just with. Oh, he needs a drummer. Rock on. So again, sorry, I don't think it'll be a live stream tonight. I think this will be instead, and I don't think there'll be a live stream tomorrow either. I'll get back onto it. I might feel better though. Rock on.